after his retirement announcement,
Mhm.
Seb went a bit on a tear in that Aston Martin.
Mhm.
Finished the season over double his teammate Lance Stroll's points. Had a great last couple of races.
Mhm.
I don't know if we've seen the end of him, but I think he was in my top 5 drivers for the year.
Welcome back to Brake Check. This is episode 38. It is our final episode of the season and of the year. It is our 2022 Formula One recap. Very excited. We're just going to cover some of our favorite drivers this season, the ones that kind of surprised us, some of the ones that disappointed us, and then just talk about some of the races that we really enjoyed. Juan, how was your weekend?
My weekend's good. It's still going. Last day, someday fun day. No, I'm just gonna hang out today, relax. We're making pot roast,
Nice.
but
Ooh.
yeah, I'm excited for that. I love pot roast, so I'm very
Mhm.
excited. Long weekend. I've been off of work since Wednesday. I'm off until Tuesday, so I'm enjoying myself. And then next week,
Nice.
I'm off again on Friday. So, I can't complain. Real quick before I ask you how your weekend was, I
Mhm.
just wanted to call out, follow us at BreakCheck F1 on all socials.
Mhm.
Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. For whatever reason, today I remembered before
The very
minute
end.
47 of the episode, but just wanted to call that out. But Megan, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I went to another Christmas market in London with some friends on Thanksgiving because, of course, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving here. But tonight, actually, shortly after we record this podcast, I will be traveling, or I'll be making a salad for my Friendsgiving that I'm having with a bunch of friends from school. So, very excited about that. Some of them are American as well, but some of them are not. So, it'll be kind of fun to just experience it and enjoy it with some new people. But yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise, just wrapping up school stuff. I have some assignments due over the next 2 weeks, and then I come home for the holidays. It's coming by real quick, but I'm so excited. So,
Yeah, good stuff. I've noticed that international not international people, we're all international. Non-Americans love celebrating Thanksgiving, it seems
yeah.
like.
Yeah, I have one of my friends, she said that during COVID they like did a Thanksgiving celebration and none of them are American, they're all from India.
Yeah.
So like but they went all out and did like what they could have like a Thanksgiving dinner. So it was really cute, but
Before we get into our recap stuff, we do have some news. Megan, do you want to kick us off with that?
yeah, there's not a ton of news, but I did want to call out that the rumors of Binotto leaving Ferrari are continuing to surface. It seems pretty likely that he'll be resigning soon. And then Frederick Vasseur, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, is expected to take his place. He is currently the team principal and managing director at Alfa Romeo. He's been there for quite some time. That also means he worked closely with Charles Leclerc for a bit. So it seems like they got along well when Charles was there. So excited to kind of see what that means for Ferrari and how that hopefully helps their performance next year. Um, but I don't know if you had any thoughts on Binotto heading out.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really know much about Vasseur and his tenure at Alfa Romeo, so I can't speak on that too much, but just in terms of Binotto, I think it's time for a change. I think it's good that they are choosing someone who got on pretty well with Charles because I mean, he a couple more seasons like this one, and Charles is definitely going to think about leaving. So I
Mhm.
think whatever they can do to keep the team competitive and keep Charles happy, I think that's a good call.
Yeah, I don't think everything Binotto has done for the team has necessarily been bad, but when he makes, very open statements about how there's nothing needed to change on Ferrari's end, it just kind of shows that he's kind of maybe holding the team back from change. And we see that when, he had said that they should have no problem winning, one of the next 10 races and then they don't. And a lot of that is just due to ignorance, I think, on his end. So I don't know how I feel about it. I think I'm happy overall about it. I hate to see people like lose their jobs
Yeah.
necessarily, but I think it is for the best if the team wants to see some change for next year and whatever they can do. I think this is a good move.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Something real quick, just something to keep an eye on. Not the biggest deal in the world, but over the off season, I think we could see some things play out. So recently, crypto, I don't know a ton about crypto, but FTX, which I think is a crypto exchange website and a pretty main sponsor of Mercedes, collapsed. And Mercedes terminated or suspended their contract with them before Brazil, and it looks like it'll be terminated moving forward. Um, Worth mentioning, I think, because 8 teams currently have crypto sponsors, and
mhm,
F1 itself is sponsored with crypto.com. Um, so, again, this is not like a finance
mhm.
podcast, but as we have seen in the past year, crypto very up and down. And I'm just interested to see how the teams kind of weather the storm, because I don't think all 8 companies that the teams are sponsored with make it through just generally. So
Mhm.
interested to see especially how the smaller teams handle maybe their sponsors going under.
Yeah, it's interesting that some of these teams want to even take a risk right now with
Yeah.
crypto companies. I feel like give it a few more years and maybe when they're a little bit more stable, or you kind of like weed out the ones that are going to go under in the next
Yeah.
5 years. I think that would be a good choice, but I feel
Yeah.
like it's one of those like recent trendy things, and so I feel like some teams hopped on it maybe a little too early. Good for Mercedes though to kind of terminate that as soon as they possibly could.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, they're such a big team. I don't feel like it's going to impact them necessarily as much as it would say, I don't know, Alpha or something. So, but yeah,
It
that's
it's
definitely a good
always
call out.
it's been always super weird to me that F1 teams like sponsoring with crypto, because F1 teams need like liquid cash at all
Right.
times. And that's like the opposite of what crypto is.
Right.
So who knows?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a common partnership in the next
No,
couple of
no,
years.
no.
That's for sure. And then speaking of Mercedes, they again, more rumors about how interested and how much Toto is interested in Mick Schumacher joining them as a reserve. Hopefully that announcement happens soon. I think it's the best bet for him, and getting him back into an F1 seat in the future, just working with Mercedes for a bit. And then Daniel has new merch coming out on November 28th. So he is just cranking out products right now.
He's
But
not going away.
no, I will say though, he has great merch. So
He does.
definitely,
It's
yeah.
just so expensive. Every time something comes out, me and Megan send screenshots back and forth and just then follow it with, "We're not getting it. It's $200."
Yeah. Yeah, I can't just buy it. I will say that the blanket of his winter collection looked so nice. But again,
Yes.
it's $100, $115 blanket. Like
I,
I,
I want the half zip that's the same design as the blanket
yeah,
so bad,
it's
but
so cool. But
we'll,
no, I can't.
we'll keep dreaming.
Yeah, one day. Okay, so when we this next section, rather than just going through who are the top 5 and bottom 5 drivers of the season, we all know what the points were, but
Mhm.
we want to talk about, what drivers impressed us the most or maybe caught us off guard that we didn't necessarily expect to do as well as they did. And then 5 drivers that maybe fell short of our expectations, and drivers that, maybe just disappointed us a bit. So I don't know if you want to kick off your one of your top 5 best, and then we can
Yeah.
just go back and forth.
So I didn't super aggressively rank these. I just kind of have
No,
5
same.
drivers
Yeah.
that my honorable mention though, I won't get into him. Joe, great rookie season
He
given
was
the
gonna be.
circumstances. Super
Yeah,
unreliable car, but I think he did the best with what he could.
that's funny. I had an honorable mention name too, and it was Joe, because I
Yeah.
I didn't put him in my top 5. I was like, man, like he really had a great season for
Yeah.
like all things considered. But
hmm but yeah, so my actual top 5, I'll kick it off. Sebastian Vettel.
that's
Uh what's up?
nothing.
Yeah, so especially after the break, I think after his retirement announcement,
Mhm,
Seb went a bit on a tear in that Aston Martin.
mhm.
Finished the season over double his teammate Lance Stroll's points. Had a great last couple of races.
Mhm.
I don't know if we've seen the end of him, but I think he was in my top 5 drivers for the year.
Yeah. I'm so sad to see him go, but yeah, he had a great second half of the season, especially with how finicky Aston Martin is. And I'll get into Stroll in a bit, but so for one of my five best, I put Valtteri Bottas. I had actually predicted him 15 because I didn't have such expectations for Alfa Romeo. But even in Bahrain in the first race, Bottas was so competitive and was even
Yeah.
he was pretty much going to beat Hamilton. I think he had a DNF that race, but he
Mhm.
had such an impressive start to his season and finished 10th in the standings. I mean, I'm excited to see what Alpha does next season because it's so great to see both him and Joe just doing it and working together, and they seem to get
Yeah.
on well. But yeah, Bottas totally for having switched from Mercedes, I feel like he was just flying. So
Um, so yeah, for another one of my drivers, I'll save the obvious one for the end. I think we both have the same guy at number
yeah,
one. I'm gonna guess. I had Kevin Magnussen as
okay,
one of my top five drivers. I think coming in last second to a team
yeah,
he was already at, I think he did a really good job, especially early on in the year.
hmm
Keeping that Haas in the points, keeping that Haas competitive. Nothing crazy, but I think worth mentioning uh, based on expectations because I didn't know he was
yeah.
going to be an F1 driver until like the first race.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I think he did the best that he could for sure. And I can't imagine just popping in last minute like that.
Mhm.
But one of my other ones was Lando Norris. I did technically predict him higher. I predicted him fourth and he finished seventh, but the
Mhm.
McLaren was a tank this season.
Yeah.
And he was also, you have to give recognition to the fact that he was the only other driver that wasn't in a top team to score a podium this season. So
Yeah.
I think given what the situation was, he was very impressive and had a lot of great qualifying results and starts to the races, whether or not he finished up there just with the car that they had. So hopefully McLaren comes back with a better car next season because it would be great to see what Lando could do in a competitive car.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, the only reason I didn't put him in my top five is because I had him finishing seventh and he finished seventh.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
I do think he's easily the best of the rest.
hmm
I think he can build off that, like you said, if McLaren gives him a good car next year. Um,
Yeah.
so before we get to George Russell, I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get to George, I wanted to call out Esteban Ocon.
I was
Um,
gonna call him out next too.
all right, cool. Yeah. So Ocon, I had him. I didn't really rank him, but I had him right under
hmm
George. Beat his teammate Alonso, who was also having like a late career revival. Alonso could have
Yeah.
very well been on this list as well. Um,
hmm
Alpine's making me a bit of a fan. I was actually talking with my girlfriend that I was like, I don't really have like a second F1 team.
hmm
Like I'm obviously a Mercedes diehard, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Alpine might be my secondary team next year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him, both with him and Pierre. I'm a Pierre
Mhm.
fan. In Esteban, like I've never been like a huge like yes or no feeling towards him. I've never had strong feeling towards him, but I think him coming on top of Alonso is what also kind of put him on my list, just because he
Yeah.
was so competitive this season and just surprised me a bit. I think
hmm
Alonso kind of pushed him to be a
Oh
little bit
yeah.
more competitive this season too, which is great to see. And now that he has Pierre coming on, I think it'll just continue to push him. So Alpine though, I do really they surprised me this year. I was really happy with it. So I'm excited to see what they do next year.
Yeah.
Um, who was your oh yeah, we have George Russell,
Yeah.
but
We talk about George now. I think easily the most surprising driver of this year.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I expected him to do well because like decent because he had some experience with Mercedes already, but I didn't think he was going to finish maybe more than eighth or seventh. Like I just thought it was going to take him longer to adapt. And that man was the most consistent from the bat. P5 to start, and then just was that up until like Silverstone or something.
Yeah.
So really impressive results from him. And he had his first F1 win. So brought that home for Mercedes, which is
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I think he's going to do very well with Mercedes for quite a few years for sure.
Yeah. I agree. Mhm.
Oh, okay. The only other person I forgot I put him, Carlos Sainz. I think just with the way the Ferrari team was handling things and all
Yeah.
the bad luck Charles had, even though Charles did finish ahead of him. But like, I think all things considered, Carlos finished fifth in the season. I also think that was the best he was going to do with the strategies
Mhm.
and everything. So, and he had his first Formula One win, which was huge. So
Yeah.
good for him.
Big Carlos Sainz fans here at Break Check. I think we both
Yes,
really like him. Also, you might disagree. I think he is my vote for most handsome on the grid.
100%.
Yeah.
No, I mean, now the Daniel's gone, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think all these drivers we listed had great years, regardless of World Driver Championship standing. Excited to see what they do next year.
Do you want to kick off worst?
Yeah, let's do worse. So I'll let me kick off first. My honorable mentions, I put them in just because they suck, but we expected them to suck. I had Latifi
Yeah.
and Stroll. Those
Okay.
are my honorable mentions. I'm not including them because
Yeah.
it was expected. These I know this is going to seem weird to say that they were disappointing, but I have a
Yeah.
combo for my fifth spot on worst drivers of the year or most disappointing. And that's Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc. I mean, obviously the championship will tell you they came in second and third. They both had
Yeah.
some race wins. They were the only two with a chance, and they just really didn't even put up a fight. They both had things out of their control working against them.
Mm-hmm.
But at different times, we saw Charles look like the fastest man alive. And at certain times when he was kind of allowed to run wild, we saw Checo look like Charles looked like an unstoppable force. Checo looked like an immovable object.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed that we didn't get more wins. We didn't get more of a fight out of them to Max.
Yeah. I will say, like, even if it wasn't against Max, I expected more between the two of them. And I just didn't see much action from either of them
Yes.
in a few races that there should have been. Yeah, no, that makes sense 100%.
Yeah.
My fifth worst, I know you said Stroll was an honorable mention. This is targeted right now to Stroll. Lance, you made your F1 debut in 2017.
That's crazy.
I have changed a lot since 2017, and you should have too by now. And all the time that your dad has let you pass Vettel for more points, you still finished with less than half. So Papa Alonso was coming next season, so you gotta pick it up. I mean, we can't keep making excuses because this is exhausting.
We've said it before. Alonso is gonna eat him alive.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited for that drama. Like, I know some people are excited for Esteban and Pierre. I think they can be adults and figure it out. I don't expect the same from Alonso or Stroll, the two probably most childish on the grid.
Yes,
in my opinion.
So once again, want to preface that I think all the drivers on my list here, they had things working against them. I don't think anyone who's in F1 except for Latifi and Stroll are like outwardly bad at driving. So, this is not a full indictment on them, but
right.
Just context wise, these were disappointing. My fourth was Mick Schumacher.
He was also my fourth.
Okay. I know he had maybe not Haas's full support, especially towards the end when they kind of realized they were moving on from him.
Yeah.
But he had Nikita Mazepin as his teammate for an entire year. Yeah. And I just the talent is there. He's an F2 champion. He's got F3. And F3, he's got the family ties, he's got the genes, he's got the pedigree, and at some point he just has to do it, you know.
I said that even though like technically he only had 1 year in F1 because you can't even justify the car from 2021. Like it's not a car for F1, so it's just like it sucks that, I think the first half of the season, Mick was still figuring it out, and it sucks that it took him the first half because by the time the Canadian Grand Prix came and he started to pick it up a bit, I feel like that's when the team was giving up on him. So it just like the timing of it just didn't work, and it just sucked to constantly see him like do pretty decent in qualifying and then just like fall every race.
Yeah, no, but I want him and Mercedes to get that deal done. I think good
Yeah,
for both sides. Let's
just
just get it done.
shake on it. Let's
Yeah.
go. What was your third?
Pierre Gasly.
Mine too.
Look at that. Yeah, AlphaTauri, a bit of a shitbox this year.
Yeah,
Um, but not much you could do about that. But I just want to see a little something,
yeah.
at least a little more battling in the back of the grid.
I mean, I feel like he didn't even put up a fight half the
No.
time, and Tsunoda was outperforming him quite a bit this season. And that's also, I think, what drove me to put him on that five worst was because even if you're comparing him to Tsunoda, there wasn't a significant difference. Yes, like Pierre had more points, but some of that was also just luck and etc. And it's just I expected more because even
Yeah.
the AlphaTauri has never been like an exceptional car. So
No.
I've seen
No.
Pierre do a lot with what he's got. It just didn't
Mhm.
seem to happen this season.
Yeah, I'm excited for Pierre next year. I think a fresh start is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, who was your second?
Daniel Ricciardo.
He was my first.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Daniel, didn't want to put him on my list, but and like I do think there were other things going against him and his mental health was
Mhm.
probably a factor. But even still, like I think, you saw the way the last season ended and you also just expected him to do more. I just expected more out of his season this year. So I hope it's not his last season in F1, but um yeah, I predicted him sixth and he finished 11th, which is tough.
I think I predicted him like fifth, and he finished 11th. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So,
like
um, I hope he's back. He is one of my favorite drivers. He's one of both of our favorite drivers. He might be your favorite driver.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just tough when you don't know, even not that we could help him, but like you don't even know
Mhm.
what could be done to help him, like
Right.
what is next. I don't think he knows either. But he definitely will still be around. So I
Mhm.
don't think you could ever fully get rid of Daniel Ricciardo. Um, but I hope we get to see him race one more time.
Me too.
So it sounds like your most disappointing driver and my second most. I'm gonna take a guess because I
No,
think we're
I know our disappointed is not the same, but you can go for
really
your second. Yeah, go for your second.
Lewis Hamilton.
Oh no, I mean like I considered putting him on there, but no, I didn't think he was
Okay,
gonna have like I because I was my justification for why I didn't put him on the list was I didn't know what his mental health was going to be after the way last season
that's a
ended.
good point.
So I was like, if he wasn't like the signing Char, I wasn't like I would have been probably more surprised if he like came back in the Mercedes and just like took away all the points. Like that would
Yeah.
have been more of a shock to me. But no, like honestly, I didn't expect him to like come out
Okay. All right. So
guns
yeah,
blazing.
he was before we get into your second
Yeah.
most he was my second most disappointing driver of the year. I had him winning the championship this year just as a,
Yeah.
kind of a comeback, but things would not have it be that way. Start of a new generation of cars. Both Mercedes and Lewis had to adjust. I take solace in the fact that while he finished worse than Russell in the standings, he was. It feels tired and old to say that every week Lewis was still faster than George,
Mhm.
but he was. So I think at the end of this year, seeing that the car can still be competitive, it can still win. I think he'll come back next year. I think he'll be a little more focused, a little more motivated. A year and a half removed from Abu Dhabi at this point.
Mhm.
Um, Lewis is not done, but
No.
definitely wanted more this year.
I think I'm expecting more from him next season just because by that point, the way that they're talking about the Mercedes, they make it sound like it's going to be up there in the competition. And you see how well George did this season. So I
Yeah,
think the pressure's really on him for next season.
yeah.
So yeah, and we'll get into our 2023 predictions in the new year. So very,
Hmm.
very excited for that. My number one was Sebastian Vettel, which is why I laughed
Ah,
when you said he was in your top because my writing says you're telling me that you can drive now. Where was that all season? And then I wrote, according to Nikita Mazepin's stages of grief, I'm in the anger portion right now because you retired. Like you were like just this guy being dragged on the track, like ready to go and like lay down. And then like as soon as you announced your retirement, you were just all hail with the wind. Like you just were off to the races all the time. And you were so
Yeah.
competitive. You gave us some of the best like competition on the tracks in some of these races at like that battle with Daniel Ricciardo or with Magnussen. Like you were there. So where are you now? I'm bitter.
No, I guess I would feel differently if I was a fan of his.
Yeah.
But he was cooking the last half of the season.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like you beat Stroll, and his dad was just trying to give Stroll points, and you were still were
Yeah.
beating him. Like, yeah, that was disappointing. That was my number one. I was like,
Okay.
I'm better.
Yeah. Interesting. Um, I think that kind of
Yeah,
touches on the 2022 season. I think we covered like every team there.
a lot of things. Yeah, we covered it
Yeah.
all, which is great.
Um,
And if you missed the race, you can always go to one of our recaps because we have all of them.
yeah, we
So
did not miss a race.
wait, did we miss Miami?
Oh, never mind. We missed the
Actually, I think
race.
we missed we missed
We
one
missed the
race.
race. Yes, because Megan moved to London. I
No,
was
I
gonna
was
do
Miami was May or April. I was in LA and then Houston, and then I think you were gone. You were doing something in May.
no, because you did an episode with your
Oh no,
friend.
you were visiting Jen, and I was in Austin. No, I was in Houston and LA.
You did
Didn't
an
I
episode with your friend and I
with
edited it,
Nick?
but
Yeah.
I wasn't in it. We missed the race after you moved to London. I was gonna do
Yeah.
solo, and then I
Yes.
got an apartment like
Yeah.
2 days after, and
Okay.
I just didn't have
You're right.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
um yeah, so we missed one race, one of the American races, funny enough. But yeah, this was my first full F1 season that I watched every single race.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel very happy about that. I thoroughly enjoyed waking up every Sunday morning. I
Mhm.
did not enjoy staying up Saturday night for some of the midnight races.
Oh my
Um
God.
so yeah, wait, what, just one or two things. What do you want to
Mhm.
see in 2023?
What do I want to see in 2023? Charles Leclerc, world champion, or Lewis Hamilton. I would love to see.
Yeah.
I would love to see an announcement of Daniel Ricciardo coming back. I would love to see I'd actually like to see Pierre maybe go above Ocon because right now I'm expecting Ocon to perform better, but it
Yeah.
would be great to see Pierre challenge it. And then I would like to see Joe in more points. I would like to see
Yes.
the Alpha be more competitive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I want Lewis Hamilton world driver champion. I want Porsche to sign with some team,
Yes.
any team besides for Red Bull, because I love Porsche and I hate Red Bull. Oh
Daniel's
yeah.
part of Red Bull now, so we gotta
I like two of the three drivers they have now. Yeah, like
yeah,
what's the
no.
deal with that? No, I announced maybe last week or a couple of weeks ago. I'm just fully leaning into it. I don't like Red Bull and I don't like Max. I'm good with that. Megan can be the mediator moving forward.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fine.
and I would like to see as the drivers kind of get adapted to these cars even more. I'd like to see even more wheel to wheel clean
Yeah.
racing, and more consistency from the FIA.
More consistency is
Mhm.
huge. I would like to stop seeing like during these yellow flags the dangerous like people on, the like that needs to stop. Like
Yes.
that should never happen. Like this like that just shouldn't happen. So I'm hoping that is better next year. I'd also like to see more teams on the podium because it's kind of boring. No offense to all the Ferrari Red Bull fans, whatever. I don't
Yeah.
care. I There needs to be more variety because that's what it's really fun to watch. I mean, I understand Max had just like an insane car this year, and of course he was going to take away the championship, but it would be great to see a bit more of a battle throughout the season.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping
Definitely.
for.
Um, Do you have any parting thoughts?
No, I just let's see. Favorite race, British Grand Prix. I think that was
Mm.
most people. I looked at a report and it said 33% of Formula One fans said that the British Grand Prix was their favorite, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Before we started recording, we were like, Megan asked me if there was any races I wanted to call out. And I was like, honestly, only Silverstone. And
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, same here. Me and my dad were watching Silverstone on the TV in his garage. I had been watching in my room, but the cable cut out. So I ran downstairs because I knew he was watching it and I got to catch the end of it. And we were like yelling like in the garage, like while it was happening. Everyone thought Lewis had a chance to win for a second there.
Yeah.
Great race. Yeah.
It was so good. That was also
Which,
Carlos's first win.
yes, Carlos's first win.
And Joe's scary crash. That crazy crash happened there
Yeah,
too.
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Georgia's first win was cool to watch too.
That was cool. The Brazilian Grand Prix. That whole
Yeah.
weekend honestly was so entertaining with the Magnussen pole, not Magnussen pole, Magnussen Q1 in qualifying, and then well, I guess that was pole position kind of, but they had the sprint race. Yeah, so if you go back to watch any races or any recaps, check out the British Grand Prix and the Brazilian Grand Prix. That's my recommendation.
Yep.
Otherwise, yeah, have a great New Year and holiday and Christmas.
Thank you for listening. If you've listened to all these episodes, thank you so much. I know we have some people who have listened to every episode.
Shout out my mom.
Shout out my friend Ronnie. He pulls us up on YouTube every episode, every Monday.
So nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it means a ton. I think me and Megan are both excited to kind of get back to the drawing board now that we know how to podcast. I think we can, build off of what we've started, start moving forward. But yeah, you'll be hearing from us soon.
Yeah, we'll still be active on social, so be sure to check us out during the break.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you guys in the new year.